So we're just glad that folks are making time to get this on the calendar and know what's coming up. And really one of the important things we hope to accomplish is to get as many participants that could benefit and would be interested to hear about this and to have the opportunity to get engaged right at the beginning. So with that, you want to advance or click? Our agenda today, brief welcome, which will be really brief since we're going to try and get this done in 30 minutes. We are going to talk about the engagement planning. We're going to talk about the work plan for year one and the collaboration guide, and then have some discussion if we have time, keeping that all within about 30 minutes. So you're going to get some time back on your schedule today. Our outcomes, we hope today to define the team. We want to discuss our work plan and the action items in that first month. So we're priming the pump. And then a reminder, what are we going to get out of this effort after year one? We hope to have accomplished a mature assessment method, guidelines, and tools for our utilities to use, implementation and testing of the assessment at our different utilities, and get some case studies and lessons learned, which is always, I think, connects the work that we're doing more significantly to our own situations. And long-term, we'll integrate this.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
We'll integrate this into all aspects of our improvement efforts. Oh, I'm feeling bad for you with all your stuff going on there.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. All right, you can click to the next one. So this is our the yellow boxes, and Shelley, you're going to have to help me out because I can't find my notes because my document closed on me.
Okay.
We've got these teams in the yellow boxes, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And this session that you're part of today and would be going forward would be the workforce and organizational culture. So we had those as two separate teams. Now we're going to treat them as one. Then we're also going to have these other teams, which you've probably seen the survey by now. And if not, if you haven't completed it, please get that in so that can help our planning. But we've got capital improvement program, team assets, team energy, and team analytics in terms of technology and data. And so putting that all together, it should help us have our utilities be operating across all aspects of what's important for our success and having the capacity to meet our mission and fulfill our financial challenges through this work that we'll do together. I think for me, I'm a active reader learner in terms of how to advance performance in an organization. I've always felt like there hasn't been enough specific to our industry. So what I get excited about this effort is it's giving us the tools and the opportunity to create those for the utilities that we work in so that we can help our leaders have a strong utility going forward. Next slide.
Sorry. Sorry, this is this my PowerPoint was jumping a little bit.
So this is probably the really important takeaway from today in terms of the warm up for the September start. It's to think about at what level do you want to engage or can you engage? So you can continue to be a participant and attend these biweekly status updates. There will be some workshops that will be built in that, as we've done in the previous round, that will be added that we would hope that all the participants would consider being able to participate in. And of course, we'll have events at the conferences, virtual or in person, yet to be determined. But then we're looking for some folks that can invest a little more time. And that would be our core team. And so there would be some in our off meeting weeks, there would be some additional meetings that they would participate in. and they would collaborate on the in between our participant meeting check-ins. And so if you've been with a group before, you probably have a sense of that, but you're talking about a few more hours beyond what a straight participant would be. But I think the takeaways are that you not only have an opportunity to provide input to this valuable tool, but you'll learn some more from the process from each other, because everyone who's engaged has said that they're learning lots from their peers. And so that is like a hotbed of learning that we can do with each other. And we would ask the core team folks to consider being presenters at conferences and webinars so we can take this more broadly to our utility. Next slide. And raise your hand at any point if you have a question, since we're moving fairly quickly here. Happy to pause and answer questions. This is a survey that Cello put together, and I think, Cello, you were going to speak to this and tell us what you're finding from the survey responses.
Yes, we've so far had 15 responses. I just put into the chat line the link to the survey that you can copy, and if you haven't done it yet, then you can do it. It'll take just less than 5 minutes. Basically, we're trying to figure out who, if you can see the questions are you going to be attending biweekly status updates? So if you say, no, I'm not going to be sending you invites anymore because I'm trying to, we're trying to match the communication with you with what you'd like to, if you say maybe you will be getting the invites, and if you say yes, of course, attending WEFTEC, if it's in person, just simple, I'm not going to attend, maybe I'm not sure, or yes, absolutely. Attend the workshop we have at WEFTEC. Attend WEFTEC if it's remote. Attend utility management conference in person. And I understand that there's a lot of uncertainty out there with everything, but just whatever your best sense is now. And if you're spending more than 5 or 6 minutes on this survey, you're like overthinking it, because it doesn't mean that you commit to going to the utility management conference. It just means that we're trying to gauge how to, organize our activities. And then below there are questions. This other say on the, yes, I want to work on the core team. I want to conduct pilot implementation of this assessment in my utility, prepare case study. So just answer to the best of your knowledge the way what you're thinking is now, and so that's the entire survey, not more than this. And the link is in the we have more than 30 people expressing interest in this topic, and it's really a challenge to figure out how to manage these things. So again, this is for participants. You see it a little bit better. I should have actually clicked here. And then this is for the core team. Just a few questions. So I will, once I get the results from everybody, I will put it into this slide and this slide deck, so you can see. And I will just update this slide deck. And this is responding to a comment we received at our last meeting to sort of provide at least an initial structure for what the activities are going to be, what the work plan is going to be, and what the schedule is. Now, these are approximate. This is approximate. It doesn't mean that if you can't make something in 3 months, these are just estimates. But we will, when the project starts in September, we will refine these details. But I split them sort of into quarters. So in the first quarter, until the end of this year, we would like to finalize that assessment tool that we prepared last as part of UAIM. Also add a method that will, once you do the survey, that will interpret the results and provide a report, and also draft the guidelines for assessment. So if somebody who hasn't been in the core team and hasn't been familiar, that they have a document similar to the way we have a document for business process modeling. You know, we have guidelines, this is how you should do it, these are the examples, and so forth. So by the end of this quarter, we would expect to have a functional a tool and the results, these three things done. Are there any questions on this? Okay, I don't see any hands raised. Then the next 3 months, and that's roughly before the utility management conference in February, we're going to look at testing and pilot implementation of this maturity assessment that we've just completed in different utilities. So some utilities may have a more active part, some may have more of an observant sort of part. But we would essentially work with utilities to implement it, but it doesn't have to be applied to the entire utility. You can only, for example, implement it to a specific initiative process like CIP or asset management or business case evaluation, whatever, so that it would be scalable. So that would be the next 3 months, and we have a workshop at the utility management conference that we proposed, where we would really kind of present and discuss this pilot. Are there any questions on this part?
Joe, a real quick question.
Yeah.
Abstracts and session proposals and so forth are due today.
Yes.
For the utility management conference. Is there something being submitted?
Yes, something's being submitted, and I have a draft of it. I sent out an email and to the people who were taking the lead on initiatives. And so I didn't send it, for example, to the entire workforce and organizational culture. I sent it only to Lisa, just so we can get the proposal in. But as we get into the project, we're going to figure out the speakers. Basically, the idea would be to go through the assessment tool and the plans for test implementation. And I'm going to fire it off. I already saved it there, but I'm going to complete it today.
Yeah, and this probably doesn't need to be said, but I'll say it for therapeutic reasons, that hopefully WEF-WISE is prominent in the proposal, because the reviewers may, universally may not be familiar with it. And that's, I think, real important for it to get through.
Yes, I'm doing my best. It is a little bit, the proposals for next year were, I learned about it, that it's about a deadline like a week after I got back from this year's utility management conference. So I will do my best, and I'll send you the copy of what was submitted. If you have any ideas, I can ping you a little bit later today.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Then after that workshop and everything, we will, based on the experience that people have had with the pilot implementation, we would revise and finalize the assessment tool, the interpretation method and guidelines, so that we really have products that are sort of ready for prime time. And then the next, period, we would work with utilities to plan and implement these improvements, so that we have case studies as at the end of it. And that could take, depending on what the utility chooses and stuff like that, that would sort of round up this first year of WISE. So are there any questions or things that people want to bring up? And again, we're warming up. We haven't really started. This is just a discussion on, how we're going to approach this first year. What is the rough schedule, scope, and the deliverables. So, and thanks to Zonetta for suggesting that this be prepared, because I think it will be helpful to all. Are there any comments or questions or concerns?
Cello, this is Scott. There were a couple people in the chat line who were relating to the technology, data analytics and technology energy management, team. There are these other teams that are undergoing their efforts as well, and they would have a similar type of agenda focused on the pilots and the case studies. There's not an attempt in this first year to try to fully integrate everything. That's a longer term vision of how you would integrate these things together. But just so people aren't expecting that everything is going to be all integrated together into one work effort in these case studies, right, Cello?
Yeah, that is correct. And I think that one of the things we're going to do is that, for example, when we have a workshop at WEFTEC and Utility Management Conference, that will be, especially if it's in person, a good opportunity to establish connections. So the people from CIP will see what this do. Give me just a second. I have an emergency on my hands. Give me just a second. So that is correct. Let me just see. So these are the events. These are the events that we're going to have, and they kind of line up with these deliverables. And let me see. So as we go, we're going to follow our standard methodology, and similar for the other improvement initiatives. I will post this presentation, but again, this is just kind of an introduction and a warm-up. And I think, yes, and finally, the actions, the first actions for September, we're going to start, again, with the core team. We're going to schedule their meetings, review the versions of the assessment tool. The core team is pretty much familiar with all this, and then start planning for the pilot implementations and prepare for the 2021 workshop at WEFTEC. So that is really all we had for today, and I just want to see if there are any questions, and we may be able to, give you back some time.
And many thanks to the Utility Management Committee for your continued sponsorship and support of this.
I apologize for the background sound, because the slide includes the text from the Utility Management Committee. I keep reusing the slides, and in this one I didn't catch the sound.
So it's all cello all the time.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay. So Lisa, did you have any closing comments?
Based on the schedule, so 2 weeks we won't be meeting because it's Labor Day.
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah.
So our first meeting then on our official start will be 2 weeks later.
Yes, that is correct. Yes, that is correct.
I think that's September, a little quick here, 20th, right? September 20th will be our first meeting.
Yeah.
And we'll be sending information before that meeting and to remind you, but we'll have a little bit of a break here before we get started officially.
Yes.
And hopefully by then we will know who desires to be on the core team, and we might even kick off an activity there.
Yeah. So